Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Janine Rogan, the CEO and founder of the Wealth Building Academy, and welcome back to Wealth Wednesdays, a weekly video series where we talk about all things building wealth. Now this week we're taking a look at the big 5 banks across Canada and whether or not we should keep our deposits with these institutions. Now, I know there is a lot of fear sometimes when it comes to looking at online banks compared to things like the big 5, so RBC, BMO, TD, Scotia, and CIBC. But when we actually look at some of these online banks, in a lot of situations, they can be actually better for your financial situation. Now, many of you have opened bank accounts with one of those big 5 banks, and you may have even opened them with your parents when you were younger, and it's all you've known for your entire life. But the truth is, these banks really do charge you a lot of fees, as well as pay you little to no interest. So on every dollar that you give the bank, so money you deposit into the bank, they're actually able to turn around and make 12 times that amount on the money that you have given them. With this money, we can see that they're able to pay their C-suite large sums of money and salaries in the form of stock options as well as large bonuses every year. They also increase their dividends to their shareholders and avoid paying a lot of taxes through a number of deductions that are available to them. So banking with a large financial institution might be more convenient if you need to get cash out from an ATM, as those ATMs are more readily available. Now, banking with a large financial institution may seem more convenient as you're able to access ATMs more often, as there are more of those ATMs readily available to you if you live in a large urban center. That being said, there are generally larger fees associated with banking with the big 5 banks across Canada. Now, there are a lot of fintech companies that are starting to disrupt this space and working towards cashless products that provide instant services to individuals through their technology. These fintech companies are also working on payments that are instantaneous instead of taking that 3 to 5 business days that our regular financial institutions seem to take with our money. Now, I've always thought if we can get to the moon in 3 days, why does it need to take us that long to get our money transferred between 2 financial institutions? So 20 years ago, fintech was not a thing. The options you had were extremely limited when it comes to where you can actually store your money. But back then, banks actually valued their customers and would offer services and interest rates and products based on the longevity of their relationship with you, which just isn't the case anymore. So many more challenger banks or fintech companies are offering high interest and no fee accounts for you to do your banking with. These accounts have no minimums. They pay you interest in your checkings account, and they're competitive with their rates across Canada and often pay you a lot more than those big 5 banks because they don't have the same overhead costs that the banks do. And the best part of them is that you don't have to deal with going into the bank. A lot of the application process is online, is quick, and is through an app. Companies like Neo Financial, Wealthsimple, and Coho are all great examples of fintech companies that are taking the Canadian landscape by storm. As long as you have access to a Visa or MasterCard network, which, let's be honest, with the Rogers outage, sometimes that can be a little bit questionable, but as long as you have access to these networks, you're able to use these products like Coho and Neo and Wealthsimple Cash. Now, this video is not sponsored. These are all products that I've used myself and enjoy using because they offer high interest, great cash back, and no fees for me to do my banking. Now, when it comes to banking, there is always the question of ethics that we need to look at. So what kind of projects are these companies funding? We can also look at what impacts these companies have on the environment and whether they are truly in line with some of our ESG investing principles. what political parties do these banks affiliate with, and what kind of companies do they do business with are also great questions to look into when you're trying to figure out whether your financial institution is actually ethical. In almost all of these instances, a lot of the big banks are only profitable and continue to make astronomical profits when they are penalizing the poor. So what's an example of this? Well, NSF fees are a great example of how banks penalize poor people. If you don't have enough money in your bank account to begin with when a bill is being withdrawn, you are charged a NSF fee. You might also be charged late fees by the bill you're paying, and ultimately you'll be put into overdraft, which there's usually an additional fee associated with that. So because one bill didn't go through, you're now being penalized almost up to $100 in some situations of money that you already didn't have. And in reality, banks tend to cater to those higher income individuals by giving them free perks and free banking if they keep a minimum balance with the bank. Remembering that if you do keep that $3,000 or $5,000 in the bank, they are turning that around and 12xing that to ultimately create a huge profit for that bank. One of the things you can do if you're interested in seeing how profitable your bank is to go and actually look up their financial statements, which are available on Google Finance or morningstar.ca, and look at the profit line at the bottom for some of these financial institutions. And you'll be able to see that they likely don't need to be charging us for everyday banking on a monthly basis, be paying us terrible interest rates, or charging us NSF fees. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions or topics you want to see covered in future Wealth Wednesday videos, please leave them in the comment section below. And I look forward to seeing you next week.